Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Just had a Kevin Woodley from NHL.com and InGoal Magazine to talk about what's happening tonight at Rogers Arena, certainly goaltending-wise. Today's guest brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Don't miss the game because your car needs servicing. Langley Chrysler will pick up, service, and drop off your car so you don't have to miss the action. Valet service only at langleychrysler.com. We often take left turns on this show. I'm telling you, if you want interesting reading, Brian Spencer's Wikipedia page.
Oh,
it's jaw-dropping. And it was, you're right, it was made into a movie, his story.
CBC,
There's a book written on him called Gross Misconduct. It was made into a movie in part by Paul Gross of Due South fame. But we talked about his dad dying, died at gunpoint. He got shot. He died in similar fashion.
In Florida.
Brian Spencer did.
Yeah,
It's a crazy read, and I can't remember the movie, but I'll have to check it out.
We'll double check on
another bad segue by me, but Kevin Woodley from NHL.com and InGoal Magazine joins us ahead of the all Spencer battle in goal tonight.
Oh,
Canucks versus Panthers. How are you, sir? Oh my gosh,
Ryan told me I had to keep it on for the intro.
That's not hard to believe.
That is the if it's possible to say this, the best COVID mask I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's very nice.
A tribute to Jerry Cheevers. Where did you get that?
Actually, it's a guy that he runs an account called Goalie Gear Nerd. I'm a proud Goalie Gear Nerd myself, and so he's got like 60,000 Instagram followers. And when COVID hit, he developed a whole bunch of different masks, some team-based, and then this one, actually, believe it or not, he did it's actually officially approved and signed by Jerry Cheevers. And I think some of the funds actually go back to Jerry and for some fundraising initiatives. So, yeah, you got to always represent the goalie union here at the rink.
Have you got another one by any chance, other than Jerry Cheevers?
I don't actually. There's a bunch of sort of team themed ones that sort of have the old holes from the classic '70s mask with different colors, Canucks colors, different colors. There's a breast cancer awareness one that's pink, but this is the only one that is genuinely like one of the old masks. So
I'm not sure what mask he's going to be wearing tonight, but Spencer Martin starts for the Canucks. What can you tell us about him?
Well, it might be the best mask in the NHL.
Oh.
I should have sent Ryan some pictures.
Oh.
It is actually chrome dipped and then painted over top. So I don't know if it's the best, but it's the brightest mask in the National Hockey League. I tweeted it out a little earlier. So I think we can expect more than just a great mask. It's funny, the painter that did it, or the guy that did the chrome, actually reached out to us after we put it on our Instagram during training camp and said, "Hey, do you want one of those?" And I thought it was like, it popped so much. I was like, yeah, maybe I should. The problem, Donnie, is, at the beer league level, you wear a mask like that, you might as well just paint a target right on your forehead.
Yeah, you're getting it. Yeah, it's like wearing 99 at the beer league level.
Exactly, or the tinted visor. Always a problem. Listen, for Spencer Martin, this is a huge opportunity and a tough spot to be put into. We all know what Florida Panthers can do offensively. We saw what they did to Edmonton last night. Hasn't played in the National Hockey League in 5 seasons. Only got 3 games back then. But it's easy to forget. He's 7th-year pro. I think he's 27 years old, might be 28 now. It's easy to forget that he was a high pick. He was a 3rd-round pick in a year where there weren't a ton of goaltenders ahead of him. He was a highly touted prospect when he started with the Colorado Avalanche. And so what quite often happens with quote-unquote late bloomers, everybody wants to find the next Jordan Binnington, along the way, as they change teams and get in with different franchises, they meet different voices. They get different approaches from different goalie coaches. And so Spencer's game has really evolved, starting with the 2 years he spent with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, he got Stanley Cup rings as the taxi squad guy out of both of them. Changed the way he managed his depth, the way he managed rush chances, a little more patient, a little more static, not as out early and flowing back, which can lead to all kinds of reliance on rhythm and timing as a goaltender, and something you're probably going to need to be on top of against a team that generates as much off the rush as the Florida Panthers. And then he gets here to Vancouver, and he's kind of 5th on the depth chart as the season starts. And there's a whole bunch of new concepts being thrown at him by Ian Clark and Curtis Sanford. A 3-stance system is the biggest one. He used to play, I almost want to get Rick to stand up and do a goalie demo for me in the studio.
Oh, no, not a chance.
He used to play really low and wide in his stance. And if you can imagine, guys, the further you sort of get spread out, he almost played everything like he was in a save preparation stance. You can think of as a goalie as he gets ready for a save and you sort of widen out and lower out your stance. And you're almost like a spring sometimes. You're just like spring loaded, ready to react to that puck. But the wider you get in your stance, the harder it is to move. Your legs are further spread apart. Think of a T-push. If my leg's way out there, I have no extension left to generate power. If I get my edges locked into the ice, it's hard to disengage that lead leg, open up, and make that push. So he's adapted a three-stance system here in Vancouver. You're going to see, much like Demko, tall and narrow when the play's on the outside, much more efficient, much more powerful moving around the crease, much less fatigue sets in that way. He's made a lot of changes. After not getting any time, he gets in, he takes over the number one job in Abbotsford, did a ton of work behind the scenes to be ready for that opportunity, and now he gets another one tonight. Like I said, it's a tough spot, but this is a guy whose game has evolved a lot, not just this season, but over the past couple of seasons, and we'll see whether he's ready for it, although I would suggest tonight with this lineup against the Panthers, might not be the fairest test. I wouldn't judge him once and for all based on how it goes.
Kevin, I know Spencer's 26 years old. He's been around for a while, but given the situation, Florida's the number one team in the NHL right now. What do you think his morning? What do you think his day is like going into a huge test like this?
Well, I mean, guys wait for opportunity, right? And this is his opportunity. And you're right; it's not ideal. I think Spencer becomes the 104th goaltender to get into a game in the National Hockey League this season, which is a record by a long shot, right? Again, like that's a record. I think last year they set the record at 98. We've blown that away. We're not even halfway through the season. And a lot of guys have, there are guys like Charlie Lindgren, who had a .958 save percentage with the St. Louis Blues in 5 games when Jordan Binnington was out with COVID. Charlie Lindgren was with the Montreal Canadiens last year, much like Spencer. He's like 6th-year pro. Spencer's 7. Never even got into a game last season amidst all the 98. And this year he kills it. It's about finding those opportunities and taking advantage of them. Now, mindset-wise, the Florida Panthers, you're right. Like, that's a tough spot to get thrown into. But if that's what he's thinking about, then he's probably already in trouble. And having had him, we had him for 45 minutes on the InGoal Radio podcast last week. And I think he's a guy he's been around long enough. He's figured out enough things that he's not going into this game thinking, oh my God, this is my opportunity and I have to play the Panthers. You have to embrace these opportunities, embrace the challenge of the Florida Panthers. Pace is going to be huge tonight. I think that change in his stance will help him keep up on lateral movements and off the rush against a team that can move it around as well as anyone in the league. And you just have to, like I said, you can't worry about, hey, this is a tough opportunity, woe is me. You just got to embrace it. That's what we love about goaltending. Everybody, whether it's National Hockey League to beer leaguer, the chance to be the difference maker on the back end, and you have to approach it that way. Whether it's Friday night at 8 rinks or Spencer Martin playing his first NHL game in 5 years against the best team in the National Hockey League.
Kevin, we don't know what's going to happen here. Who's going to be the backup in Vancouver next year? Halak. We do know that DiPietro has been in the system for a while. Hey, he's going to be the backup tonight. He's one injury away from getting right in there, and some think he might play against St. Louis on Sunday. Give us an update on DiPietro and his development.
Just seems like this season's been fits and starts for him. Illness, injury, a bunch of different things that have sort of kept him from getting in a rhythm. It looked like he sort of found some things on the weekend before all this happened with the Canucks, before he got called up, that last road trip for the Abbotsford Canucks. Like, listen, I have no doubt about this kid's talent level, about his work ethic. Last year was a tough season for him, not getting any opportunity to get into games until very late in the season. So it's going to take a little while. I'm a little surprised at how it's gone for him at the start this year in Abbotsford. But like I said, he'd get into a game and then he'd be out for a week. It just feels like he hasn't been able to get his feet under him and get any rhythm going. But I have a lot of faith that he'll be able to. I watched him and Ian Clark out there working really late after practice today, just trying to, again, much like he does with Curtis Sanford, just when things go wrong, you go right back to the basics and you just start grinding away on your foundation, your fundamentals. His foundation has come so far. His fundamentals have come so far since he was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks. It's just a matter now of sort of him getting into a rhythm, getting into games on a regular basis, whether it's back in Abbotsford or if there's an opportunity here before they get Thatcher Demko and Yaroslav Halak back.
Okay, the record 104 goalies, Kevin, is that COVID related?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like the average, I think, was around 90, 91 for the previous decade. Last year, it jumped to 98. This year, like I said, up to 104, and we're not even halfway through. So you haven't got a lot of those sort of late season opportunities for guys that are signing, as college free agents and promised a game. So that number is going to hit potentially 110, maybe even higher this season. COVID's a big part of it, Donnie, but the other part of it is injuries. Talking to a guy like Charlie Lindgren, talking to Spencer Martin, like they notice, they see, like, man, it feels like every week a new guy's getting an opportunity. A lot of them are guys who have been kicking around the American League for a long time, waiting for this chance. It just feels like, and I think some of the gaps and the postponements and the starts and stops of the season have led to a lot more injuries on top of the COVID-related absences. You combine those two, and that's why, and with travel compared to last year, and that's why even compared to last season, we're blowing those numbers out of the water.
Hey, Kevin, got a text here. I played hockey with Kevin. He played last evening under the weather. We still won 5-1. We know him as Woody. Your nickname is apparently Woody. Be sure to ask him how
it's great you got that in, Rick.
Is it Woody?
It is, but obviously, I guess people can see that that's my last name. There was
Woodley. Woodley, you're going to get Woody or Wood out of it.
You know what? We heard some people
I'm
call
old
you.
enough.
Go ahead, Kevin.
The Cheers reference, right? The old Woody from Cheers.
Woody.
People hear that and they just think you're not that bright.
And some people call you Kev. We understand. This just in. Yeah. And by the way, Kevin, a lot of people texting into the Delaney's OK Tire in Langley inbox, they're digging the hoodie blazer look that you're sporting today.
If I wore that, I'd get ripped.
We go. Well, I mean, you gotta be able to pull it off, Rick.
I like it. And
it looks good. It looks good.
And you're pulling it off, Woody.
Woody, Kev.
Well, yeah, there's a phrase you got to be careful with.
Yeah, I know. I just thought of that. Kevin, you're so good. We could talk to you all day, but we're out of time. Thanks so much. All the best.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoyed it.